Kitsuart.
Hello my fellow kitsunists, my name is Kitsuart, and this is part 2 of my Blender Master Sword tutorial. So the easy part is going to be the blade. So tab, get out of the edit view, go to object mode, turn back the X-ray. Alright, so right now we're going to have to do some edits. So click the sword, the blade, then go into edit mode. Alright, so here we can see the blade actually extends a bit right here on this part. And we can see as well that we also need to do a little bit of scaling. So when you zoom in, you can see you're like a little bit off. So just gonna do a little small scale. And then we're gonna cut it right here. So Control R brings an edge loop cut, but this is a really big object, so we cannot see where the cut is. Oh, I forgot. Edit mode. We're gonna go to vertex, then Control R. Alright, there's our edge loop cut. We can make 2 of them by scrolling up and down. So you increase the number of edge loop cuts that you create. We're just gonna use one. Just bring it up here. We get our edge loop cut. Make another one by pressing Control R, and then just go on the lines right here to make it appear there. Or else if you go here, it's gonna make it appear in the middle. But we don't want that. Bring that edge loop cut right here. Bring it up. Leave it there. Then we're gonna make another edge loop cut. Bring it down here, and now we can select our vertices. Select both vertices right here, and when I go to scale mode, scale them sideways. We're gonna make it smaller so we can have room for our next models right here. And then this as well. We're gonna scale it, then move it down a bit. Alright, and it might not be exactly the same since this is just a drawing, so drawings are not perfect like digital. So now we go to Control R, make another edge loop cut here. Then we're gonna scale it. This is my first tutorial, so I might not say the correct things. So yeah, just bear with me. Scale it. Alright, now we got that part done. We're gonna have to scroll down here. And you can see we're gonna work with the ones down here. So in order to merge these, we have to get out of the X view and then Control, click. We don't want these vertices in the back. We just want these 2. But then again, before we do that, let's go back to the X view. Wrong side. We're gonna have to do an edge loop cut So it's up there. Bring it all the way down here. Okay, now we can actually select our vertices. And then you press M. M is to merge. It's a shortcut for merge. Now you click at center. Same thing for the ones in the back. Select both of them, press M, add center. So yeah, merge is also up here on click and mesh, and then there's other things you can do here: split, separate, merge. So, but the shortcut is M, so it's a faster way to do merging. Alright, we got our blade right here. So now you can see it's looking a little better now. You can see it's looking more like a blade. It's almost looking like a sword you would find in the Nintendo 64. Okay, so now we go back to the X view, X-ray. So now you can see we got these right here. So what we're gonna have to do is do an edge loop cut. We're gonna scroll up and make 2 edge loops cuts. And then if you're using the tool, you're gonna have to hold the click button. But I'm using the shortcut key, so I'm just gonna have to like click once and then just like that. If you don't want to actually move them, you press right click. I keep confusing left click and right click, so yeah, left click is you left click to keep it in the position you want, but we don't want to do that, so press left click and that'll bring back the vertices back to where they were. Since this is going to be a straight poly, scaling it's not gonna damage, it's not gonna ruin our sword, so we can just scale it like this, separate it. Alright, so we want it to stop about right here. And then you can see these other ones right here. So now for these, we want them to go a little farther. So select them up here, hold Control, and deselect these ones. And then scale them out. Alright. And now we want to make our sword sharp. So in order to do that, the sharpness pretty much will begin like about right here. So all of this is going to be merging. So all you do, go back to your X view, select these, while in X-ray mode it's going to select the vertices behind as well. If you're on solid mode view, it only selects the front, so always be sure that you're in X-ray view and select both vertices. And of course you press M to merge, you go at center, and you can see it's creating that sharpness now by combining these 2 vertices. So do that for every single vertice. So every single vertex you see on the side, merge it. Another thing right here, you can see that it actually keeps going down here as well. But because we merged the vertices at the bottom, we're going to have to do this manually. This is where the knife tool comes in. So select the knife tool, start at the vertice, move all the way down here, click, then go up here, click, and then press enter. then you can see there's another one up here as well. Click right here, enter. And you can see we got that right now, but it's not gonna affect the back of the sword. So we're gonna have to go the same thing. So we're gonna look at the back view. Whatever you do, it's going to affect the back view because you're behind it. So same thing as before. Click here, click here, click here, and then just go see if we actually got it. And yeah, it's actually affecting the back. Same thing right here. Click and click, enter. Now, in order for these to be on parallel with each other, so sometimes they might not be right next to each other, so select both vertices here. We're gonna have to scale them and then press X 0. That didn't work, so we're gonna have to go for press S, press Z 0, and that will make them be in the center. So it makes them look like it's one object when you're on one side of the view. And then in order to make this, we're gonna have to like stretch this part a bit more. So this, bring it down just a tiny little bit more, and then we're gonna Control R to create the edge loops. But as you can see, the edge loops are don't seem to be working like they should. So we cannot do it that way. So we're gonna have to use the knife tool. So we're gonna have to use the knife tool and then just cut right here. And then press enter. Do one more cut. Enter. And then always be sure to check the back, because it's not going to affect the back. Even if you're in X-ray mode, it doesn't seem to work. Oh, you can see that didn't work. Yeah, just notice that it didn't really do anything. So redo. Okay, go back here. Okay, that seems not worse. Let's go back to this side. Okay, so let's go back to the knife tool. And then just cut right here. Press enter. Okay, there we go. Doesn't matter where it lands, we're just gonna cut away. Press enter. Okay, there we go. So now we're gonna have to select these. Same thing as before. S, Z, 0. S, Z, 0. Go to your view. Then we can see these vertices. So select them individually. S, Y, 0. Yep, so we're gonna press S for scale, Z for the Z, and then 0 for the location. Okay, it's not actually 0. Press S, Y, 0. S, Y, 0. S, Y, 0. S, Y, 0. Then press enter. SY0, enter, SY0, enter, SY0, enter, SY0, enter. Alright, and then we don't have the sides, so now we're gonna have to use the knife tool again, and then just click right here on these, enter, just connect these dots right here, enter. So now they're connected. We're gonna connect these other ones too. Enter. Right, and then when it glows red, that means it's connecting to the other vertice. So that's where you want it to end. That's where you want the vertice to be, right next to the other one, and it's gonna automatically merge them. So now we go here. Now we have to scale them. Scale it here. It's good enough. Scale these two. It's good enough. Right, so now we're gonna merge all of these. Merge, center, merge at center, merge at center. And the same thing with the bottom, the tip of the blade, merge at center. And you can see it's starting to look a little bit more like a blade now, except at the top. So we will be doing these right here. So we're gonna merge these right here. We are merging them. So merge at center. Merge at center. Yeah, I forgot. Keep X-ray mode. Merge at center. Merge at center. Alright, there we go. And you can see it's not looking quite well, but these parts are not going to be showing, but we'll just make them sharp anyway. So make sure everything is correct here. You have to move this down a little bit so it can be on par with the image right there. Alright, so we're gonna merge these as well. Alright, so all of this is going to be merged. So it's fine to merge these since they will not be showing up as much. I'm going to move these up a little bit. Make an edge loop cut right here. And then scale it a little bit. And then let's have a good look at it. Alright, that looks good so far. And now we're gonna right click it or get out of edit mode, object mode, and then we're gonna right click, shade smooth. Then go back to edit mode. And you can see our object has been smoothed now. Alright, so that seems to be good. The blade is pretty much done. So now that we're done with our blade, we're going to move on to a more complicated part of the sword. So get out of edit mode. Select this object, X-ray. then X view, other side of the X view. Alright, so now we got this object right here, and we're gonna have to make it the shape that we see here. So now we're gonna extrude this, or not extrude. I keep saying extrude. It's actually scale. Every time I'm scaling something, I say extrude, and that noise is actually my chair. It's an old chair I got. Okay, so go down here, scale it. Make sure it's like bigger, a little bigger than the sword, since we want to be able to cover the sword. Okay, and you can see right here, it seems to be going up right here a bit, so we're gonna have to create another edge loop here. But then again, we're gonna have to like cut these, so we need to create an edge loop, 2 edge loops. So left click and then right click to keep them in the center position. Then we gotta scale them, so scale them sideways, right about there. And then we're gonna do another edge loop, just one, move it down here, click, left click. Then we're gonna do another edge loop right here. We're gonna make it go right about here. And now we're gonna go to our face, press number 3 to select faces, and then we're gonna select these faces, press X, and then faces. That will delete the faces. And as you can see, there are no more faces here. This area is completely empty. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bridge these areas here. So press number 2. And I think it's better to go a 3D view for this, not straight view. So move around, make sure you're selecting the right ones. Shift click. Since this is one single object, it's gonna mess up with what we're trying to do here. So do not select these, go back, go to Control R, edge loop, leave it there. And now we can select 2. This is one single edge right here. But then again, it seems to, if we were to bridge this, it's gonna be showing up right here. So Control C to undo this. It will be better to make 2 edge loop cuts. Select them. So click and then right click to not move them. Scale them right about here. And you can see that works much better. So now we're gonna, so yeah, there's the reason why I rather do it in 3D view, because I selected the back one when I wanted to select the front one. That is not the right one. Another good way to do this will also be solid view. And now we press right click and then we click bridge edge loops. An error has occurred. So we cannot bridge these edge loops, which is a shame. So we cannot bridge these. Another thing we can do is we can select this one, or we can select both edge loops, and then we can extrude them. And then press the middle mouse button until you see that line, and no matter what you do, it's gonna keep moving it on that axis. It's really good if you wanna just move a certain axis. So we want it about right here. Since we cannot bridge them, we're gonna move them about right here. And you can see that's both of the edges we wanted. So now we go back to vertices and then select these ones. We can move them back here. But then again, there's gonna be this other vertices. So the best way to do this would be click this one, shift click the outer vertice, and press M, and then merge at last. So what this means is that I selected this one first, and then I shift click this other vertice, press M to merge, and then you choose the location of where to merge these vertices. So since I selected the other one, so if I put it first, it's gonna merge with the first vertice I selected, and it's not going to be in the right location, so it's gonna mess up with the model. So it's perfect if we do it at last. And there we go. We can do the same thing with the other side as well. Or we can pretty much just mirror it, which is going to be a faster way of doing this. But then we also need to finish this side first. So press number 2, click this, shift click over here, right click, left click, bridge edge loops. And there we go. We got our bridged edge loop. Same thing with the bottom here, bridge the edge loop. Then the same thing down here, bridge edge loop. And then we want another edge loop right here. Control R, left click, right click. And we can do the same thing, but to save some time, we're gonna have to go press 3, select this entire thing, all the faces, delete them. Press X, delete faces. Now the reason why I did this was so I can do this. Go back to object mode, add a modifier, mirror modifier, Z modifier, or Y modifier. And you can see it's already placed in place. It's placed in place already. So it looks really good. So go back to X-ray view, and what we want to do here is we want to shade smooth the object, and we can see it's actually pretty smooth, and that's pretty much what we want. We want it to be very smooth, but we are also noticing this thing right here. So yep, we have not merged these vertices yet, so we're gonna go, so I believe we haven't merged these yet, so vertice, then move, yep, they have not been merged. So I'm gonna move this away, move the other one that way as well, select this, shift select that, merge at last. Same thing over here, merge at last. Go back to object mode, and you can see the weird line is now gone. So that's what Shade Smooth is actually good as well for, just to check if you messed up anywhere. If you select a line, that means you have a problem in that area, so you're gonna have to like check it out and see what you can do about it. So that's a good thing about Shade Smooth. It makes the object really smooth, and if you only got like one object, it creates like a very sharp. It creates like sharpness around it. If you want to create more sharp or like a more squared object, you're gonna have to like do a lot of edge loops cuts. But I don't think we want that with this. Right, so we got it right here. So we want to make this as close as possible to the reference. So it's right here. I'm gonna just move this a little bit. About right here. Okay, then we're gonna move it up. Oh, select this one too. Move it up. Move it up. And move it up. Right? And that seems to be it. So I'm gonna have to go back here. So you can see the blade is not long enough here. So we'll go back to object mode, select the blade. And then go to tab, object mode, and then just pull this up a bit. Make sure it covers up. So we don't want to have any open spots here. So just select the vertices and just pull it up. Go back to object mode, and you can see it's now looking good. It's all good now. Okay, so I'll go back to here. Then we want to extrude it a little bit more. Or not extrude, scale it. Scale it. I keep saying extrude. Okay, there we go. And that's also what I want to see. I want to see it cover the guards right here, since in the reference you can see the line right here. So that means this object is like on top of it a bit, or maybe it's just either connected to it and just has like a really line digging right here. But it's more better to make them separate objects instead of making them into one and then doing like a lot of edge loops cuts. But this is where we're gonna do like a lot of edge loop cutting. So this is gonna be like the complicated part of this project. So edit mode on the master sword. We're gonna do a lot of edge loop cutting. This was really complicated when I first started this. So we're gonna do a cut right here. This will be the wing. Then just move it up here. We don't want to create the tip just yet. So go up here. Then make sure it's all on parallel with the reference. We're gonna make a edge loop cut right here. Don't move it. Then just make sure it's all looking good here. Probably better if we move them at the same time. About right there. Or maybe a little bit more. Right here. Probably better if we use the rotate tool. Just rotate along this line here. Then probably move this down a little bit more. Move this up a bit. Or pretty much all together. Yeah, no, we're just gonna put this here. Right here, so it touches this area. Move it up. Move it up. And move it move this up a little bit more too, because we don't want it to interfere with what's down here. Alright, here comes the hard part. So now we're gonna have to do an edge loop cut. So we got like about one, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about 5 cuts we have to do here. That's 3, and you can see they're almost in place. Alright, about these many cuts. So just scroll up and down when you're using the edge loop cut tool. And you can see it's already working well. This is not how I did it back then, but this is just a really fast way of doing it. And then left click. And you can see we got all these edge loop cuts right here for the Master Sword. Right, so now we have to do another edge loop cut right here, just to give it a bit more when we shade smooth it. Do one edge loop cut here. So all of this seems to be right in place, except for this right here. We need to bring it back a little, about right there. Then this needs to come back here. Then just keep moving these back, make sure they're all good with the image reference. Make sure this is all going this way like that. Bring these down. Alright, just make sure they're all covering up the Master Sword. Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna have to, let's see, go into your, okay, press Q, frame selected. There we go. Alright, so Q, frame selected, that's a quick way of going back to your model. So whatever you selected, you press Q and then frame selected, and it'll take you right back to your model. If it doesn't work, I believe, I can't remember how it was done, but I think it had to do something with the object. And it was like a quick select, but I cannot remember. I cannot teach you right now. But I do have like a playlist of Blender tutorials that I was using for doing this. So yeah, I'll leave a link below for that. Or just check my playlist and look for the Blender tutorials. Alright, so you can see it's looking really good right now. It's almost looking like the 64 version of it. But then again, we need to create an edge loop cut right here in order to give like a sharpness to it. Or we can also just merge these right here into one object. But before we do that, we gotta create the tip right here. So let's go to 3. Select this face. Go to your X view, extrude, and then vertices. Select the vertice. make sure these are right on top of the lines. Alright, and then we're gonna have to we're gonna have to like move that birdie seed down a bit, even though it's connected to the other ones. Should we or should we not? Probably not. It's gonna mess with the model, so and we already got these right here. So we see these lines right here, meaning they're actually going to be on top of the wings, meaning we'll have to extrude these. Okay. Okay, I see what we have to do here. Okay, so select all the vertices here. These lines are going to be like extruded out, but instead of extruding these or scaling these out, we're going to scale these parts right here. We're going to have to scale them in. But if we select this right here, it's going to mess with it. So we're going to have to like do an edge loop cut about right here. And then leave it about right there. And then that's going to prevent these vertices from being messed with, because we need this line to be all the way up here and not affect this top of the area here. Okay, so we're not going to select the vertices here. This is going to be face selection. So we're going to select the faces instead. So select the faces. So each face right here on the sides, I'm going to select these faces. Not what I wanted. Right, just select the faces, but not the top faces. We only want these faces. We don't want the ones on top here. So avoid clicking those. If you click one, you can control and click to unselect them. Okay, so we're gonna give this a try here. We're gonna go with extrude. You can see extrude is not gonna work, but then I'm gonna press S for scaling. Okay, press X, and then now it's scaling in the X axis now. So this will work this will work much better. Since, right? So now we see that we extruded a little bit on the sides here. So that's gonna work much better. So now that we got the top up here, now we can focus on these ones. So as I said before, we're not going to extrude. We're not gonna scale these out. We're gonna scale these in. But first, we gotta make sure these are right on the line. So move these. It's better to do it this way. We got the edge light. Hold left click, and then you'll see vertex light. So what this does is it's going to slide the vertices right on top. So it's not gonna mess with the model that much. It's just gonna follow the edge line on the vertices. The vertices is just gonna follow the edge lines. It's not gonna move. It's not gonna like change the shape or anything. The shape will remain the same. The vertices will just slide on the edges, and they will not mess much with the model. Same thing here. Even though we just made this this edit, it can sometimes mess with it. It can sometimes mess this up, but as long as you do it carefully, it's not gonna. Hopefully, it doesn't mess the model up. Let's just keep moving these. Make sure they look straight and follow the path. Make it look as good as possible. Oh, something's going on here. It's not moving it. But we're in X view, so doing it this way is not gonna really hurt to do it. So you can either do edge slide. If you did like a lot of edits on this thing, edge slide will work perfectly well. But because we haven't done anything, there was no reason to use the vertex slide, since we haven't really messed with the model too much to make it a complicated shape. Oh, pretty much like this right here. We don't want it to move right on top of them. We want it to just follow the path right here and just make sure it keeps a straight line, just like that. So that's another reason to use this. Alright, that looks about right. Okay, go to object mode, go to scale. We're gonna look at the y-axis here. And you can see right here at the bottom it stretches. But right here in the top, it's like skinny. So we're gonna scale this down until it's parallel with the top right here. Go to edit mode, and you can see there's a tip right here. So what we're gonna do here is create an edge loop in the center. Create an edge loop right here in the center. Make sure it goes like that. Alright. So we're gonna create one edge loop right there. And then we're gonna have to like scale these together. Alright, and then just like scale them. Oh, forgot this one right here. Scale these together right here. Make that pointy tip. Then grab this. Or maybe we should just grab the other one. Grab these two. Go back to X. Move them down. Oh. Seems I selected something I didn't want to. Control, then drag. There we go. Then go to this, drag these down, and you can see it's creating that tip now. Keep dragging them down. Yeah, it's not gonna work that way. So it depends on your view, so it's better if you do it this way. Okay, so next we're gonna go to the Y view, and we can see right here it's like stretching on the bottom here. We're gonna have to like move this up, and this is, you can see this is not straight, so we're gonna have to like scale them by pressing S, press X, press 0 coordinates. It's not gonna work. So we're gonna go back, press S, press the Z coordinates, 0. That seems to have done something. So let's move around it. S, Z, 0, enter. And then you can see it's now flat. So that's what we wanted here. Go back to the y-axis. So now we can actually scale this. So scale these up. Just move them up till it covers the Master Sword. So these are the guards. They're the most. They're gonna be the very complicated shape. And then we're gonna select this right here. So another way to work a bit faster on here, yeah, a faster way to work, I kind of forgot. We can click right on top of here, so right here, until it switches to a plus sign, then just drag it, not that kind of drag, right here, and then it becomes an arrow. Right, there we go. Now you have a second view. So for this view, we're going to go to X. Alright, now I see why I didn't want that. So yeah, to avoid making the mistake that I did by switching that to a plane, to a flat plane, we're going to have to do it this way. So having two views will actually really help. So leave it this way. Right, and we can switch it to the y-axis over here on this view. So now we got two views to work with. And when you select here, will also affect the other screen over here. So we can go back to what we were doing just by scaling all of this here. Nothing is changing from this side because this is just a flat view of it, of the x-axis. But when you move around, you can see it is taking effect. So we're going back to the x-axis, and you can see I don't know what I'm choosing right here. So I'm going to this view and selecting this, and you can see I selected what I wanted. So now we scale it up, then just put it on par with the view here, the reference, just right there. Make sure it's all parallel to the view, the reference sheet. About right there. And then we can also select these ones right here. Press Control, and then deselect this. Then scale down these right here. It's a good way. It's a really good way to know what you're doing. We'll probably stop about right there. And now we can actually do what we wanted to do before by selecting these right here and scaling them down. So we're going to select all these vertices right here, scale them down, select everything right here. And we did the, yes, we did the extrude as well. So that's going to be a big help on not messing up with what we want to do here. So just grab everything here, all these vertices, it's going to be difficult to grab these. There we go. Not all of them. I keep grabbing the wrong one, so just grab this, not this, grab this, grab this, and then scale it down. And now we can have a good look at it. The tools are going to be up here, so you press middle mouse and then just drag them. We're mostly going to be messing with this area right here. So if you don't have enough room, you can just click middle mouse to drag these right here, and then you can see the tools right here, the views. Okay, we got them right here. But also the top, we want the scales to not be too much. We don't want to scale too much on the top, so on the top we're gonna have to scale them back in to make them look a little better. Well, we are going to scale down the bottom one, so we're going to scale them down even more. So we're going back to the view here, and we're going to go grab these. So back to get back to X-ray modes, grab these right here. So grab them, and we're going to extrude them even more, or scale them scale them down even more, since that's how the master swords look. So now we got that. Now we're going to grab these ones and extrude them as well. If we can see how much extrusion there is in there. So that's looking pretty good. But we're going to have to like extrude them a little bit more. Not too much. Extrude it more. Okay. Then same thing up here. Oh, forgot to deselect these. Control select. Oh, not control drag. Control middle mouse makes it zoom in and out. Alright, and then scale it outwards a little bit. Okay, then grab these ones. I keep forgetting. Keep grabbing the wrong ones. Then grab them. Scale them out. The wrong thing here. There we go. Scale them out a bit. Back to solid view. And there we go. That's pretty much what we wanted. We don't want the scaling to be seen too much right here, to be noticeable. But we want them to be at the bottom, so we can see the wings right here. So I call these guards the wings, pretty much. They look like wings. But yeah, guards, we want them to be like more like noticeable at the bottom right here. And you can still see the line going up here, and the scale is actually not noticeable too much, which makes it look almost like this is a little bit like unaffected, like straight. So that's pretty much how the master sword is. Then we got the wing. And then we got this part right here. So this looks good so far. We wanted this thing to be on top of it, since that's how the drawing looks. Okay, go back to object mode, and then right click, shade smooth, and you can see that when we shade smooth it, it pretty much ruins what we just did. But the vertices are all still there, and you can see that it's a bit noticeable right here at the bottom, but it's not noticeable at the top. So one way to fix this will be to use edge loops. So we're gonna have to like use a lot of edge loops. So we're gonna have to like control R right here, and we just put it as close to the vertices, to the other edges right here, as close as possible. And then do the same thing. Then drag it to the other one as close as possible. And then same thing here. Same thing on the other side over here. And you can see, go back to object mode, you can see that it's actually taking effect now. So shade smooth may actually ruin it, but you can still fix it by adding edge loops. And you can see right here, it's almost noticeable, the line. So that looks pretty good so far. We don't have to do that much to mess with it, but these parts right here are what we want to see. We want to see this detail on the sword guards, like pretty much, let's call it the wings. So we want to be able to see these wings, but the shades mode just ruined it and made it much more softer, so we want to make them sharp by creating an edge loop. So yeah, just create edge loops for everything, every single one. Alright, and the first time I did this, I actually made it a little bit more complicated by making like many more cuts than what I should. But because I didn't do it the same way as before, when I do an edge loop cut, it wouldn't go on the other side. So I had to do it manually by using a cut tool. But because I didn't do too much cutting, I mostly did a lot of edge looping and using a bit more of the tools that I learned, it actually makes this a bit much more easier now. And going back to object mode, you can now see the detail on the wings now. So that's what we want. It wasn't that hard as before, so it was a pretty good learning experience. But now we also want another one right here. As you can see, there's another line here. So we're gonna have to scale it down, since I believe we did not scale that, did we? Did we scale it? It seems to be scaled, but not scaled too much. So we're gonna make another edge loop right here, or maybe not. Let's see, grab these. Yes, we did not scale enough on this one. Probably gonna have to go up here. Don't look too much at the vertices here, because it looks a little odd. I think it's messing with my eyes a bit. Alright, so create an edge loop here. Create another edge loop right here. Get out the X-ray, and you can see it's a bit more noticeable now. And we're gonna leave this area to be soft as well. That's what we want. We want it to be soft. And now we see one more thing over here. We see this. So we see this line right here, which is pretty much going to be two edge loops. So go back to edit mode, then we're gonna create an edge loop right here, create two of them, then drag them as close as possible to how it looks like, and then start editing. So vertex slide it to as close as possible to how this looks. This is not gonna work. There we go. Then these ones, just gonna drag them a little bit up. Okay. Here. So far so good. So we're gonna have to do faces. So for this, we're gonna select the faces. What I'm gonna do here is scale the faces down a little bit. So we're gonna scale them down. And then we're gonna go back to our solid view. And then, yep, much more noticeable. So now we're gonna have to go back to the face view, X-ray. So now we want these faces right here. where it shows the detail. And you think extruding it might work, but it's not gonna work. So we're gonna have to go do it the same way we did the top of the sword. So gonna go back here. Then scale. We're gonna it's E for extrude. And you can see we don't want that. So we're gonna, after pressing E for extrude, press S for scale. We don't want that kind of scale, so press X, and there we go. It's gonna do that kind of scale. So, and I cannot see, this is not a good view for scaling, so undo it by pressing Ctrl C. Even though you press E for extrude, the extrusion is still going to take effect, so you might as well press Ctrl C to undo it, just to be sure. And press it again to be sure. If you see that happening, press Ctrl Shift C to redo. Okay, so we go to extrude S and then press X and then scale it down a little bit, extrude it inside just a tiny bit, and now you can go back here and you can see it's noticeable right here, so that's what we wanted, that little level of detail. It's right in there, so that's actually good. And then we notice something wrong over here. Something is definitely going wrong here. So, and we don't really want that, so you're gonna have to go back to this. Back to your X-ray. Vertices. Select them. And then just drag them a little bit. Bring this one up a little bit. Bring this one up a little bit as well, and probably we'll just bring this up a little more. Then go back to get out of edit mode. Yeah, we can see it's really messing up the model here. So going back here, we're gonna select this screen right here. Gonna bring them back out of here. You can see it's gonna be looking like that. So just bring them as close as possible where they are touching, and you don't notice anything going on there. So that's gonna remain there, but we'll have a look at it later. So now you can see the sword is looking much better now. So get that thing out of there. Yep. So you can see the Master Sword is looking quite nice right now. It's looking more like a Master Sword now. It's looking even better. But the problem will be right there, but we'll have to check that out a little later. Alright, that's it for part 2 of the tutorial. Pretty long, but you're an amazing person if you follow this 1-hour tutorial. You'll have it a bit easy on the next part. I really wanted to show you all how to model complicated shapes like the guard. But yeah, you finally made it to part 2, and I'll see you all in part 3. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to poke that like and subscribe button. Share with your friends, and feel free to follow me in my other social media. And I'll see you all in my next video. Take care of yourselves, guys. See you later.